Whenever I tell you a secret, I am actually telling you because I trust you and I want you to know about it. I'm not telling you because I want X, Y, and Z to know about it. And then you keep telling your secrets to others. After that, pull out. Pull out of the friendship. Leave them alone. Leave them where you met them. So today we are talking about self-care, but not just self-care. We are talking about self-care as it relates to having boundaries. But first of all, what is a boundary? According to AI, a boundary is a real or imagined line that marks the edge or limit of something, separating it from other areas or things. It dictates where one entity, space, or concept ends and another begins. I personally like to define boundaries as that thing that protects your self-worth, your self-respect, your belief system, your standards, your values, and even your life. So pretty much, if you are alive in the first place, you should have boundaries. An example of a boundary would be your doors, your windows, your roof. Your roof protects you from the harshness of the weather, whether it's the rain or the sun. Your doors protects you from burglars. It also protects you from wild animals coming into your house and all of that. So pretty much boundaries are important. Now, when it relates to self-care, let's first check what the definition of self-care is. Self-care is the intentional practice of taking action to preserve or improve your own health, well-being, and happiness. So your boundaries helps preserve your own health, your well-being, and happiness. You cannot talk about self-care without talking about having boundaries. And while I was about to record this, I realized that I had already made a video on this exact topic a couple of years ago, and there wasn't really much to add or deduct from that video. So instead of talking about it all over again, I decided that we should get into what I've already said a couple of years ago because it's still relevant. In today's video, I will be talking about self-care. When I think of self-care, I just imagine going to the spa, getting myself a massage, soaking up in a hot tub, sipping on red wine, candles lit everywhere, and soft music playing in the background, taking extra time in the shower, getting that exfoliation of your skin, giving your skin the moisture that it deserves. Whatever it is that makes you feel more energized, reduces your stress level, is self-care. However, in today's video, I will be talking more on self-care as relating to boundaries, because this is one topic that we've heard about, we've learned about, we've spoken about, but we subconsciously are not putting it as a priority in our lives. As a recovering people pleaser, this is something that is important to me. Boundaries. A picture that comes to mind is the beach. At the beach, you would see water and then you will see land. And no matter how heavy the tides are and the waves are, there is a certain level that water does not get to. That point where the water stops and the land continues is a boundary. I think about it this way. The God of all creation, in all his infinite wisdom, decides that boundaries are necessary. That he sets a boundary between land and water, heaven and earth, life and death. Decides that he's going to respect our boundaries by giving us free will to choose him. He tells you, behold, I stand at the door and knock, and if anyone opens the door to me, I will come into him and dine with him as friends. As much as he needs you, he decides to wait at the door of your heart for you to let him in. It is actually your choice to make. If the God of all creation can do that, then we as humans, we definitely need boundaries. I'm talking about this more to people who are people pleasers, who have realized that not having boundaries or having those boundaries are not beneficial to them. It keeps you worn out, it keeps you resentful, and they are ready to make a change in their lives. As I'm one of them myself, as I identify as a recovering people pleaser, I want to just share some things that I now know and some things that I'm now implementing in my life to ensure that I live a much healthier life and foster better relationship with myself, with my time, my energy, and everything around me. In no particular order, the first type of boundary is material or financial boundary. Let's say someone I love so much gives me a sweater, and I don't mind people entering my wardrobe and picking up one of my clothes and wearing them. But with this sweater, I don't want to share it with anybody. That's a material boundary. Financial boundary could look like deciding that for every income I make, there is a percentage I will be setting aside for savings and investments, And then there's a percentage for my expenses for the month. Then there's a particular amount of money I set aside for people I can help. So if someone needs urgent 2k or urgent 5k, this is the money I've set aside for that. If a person calls me asking for financial assistance with urgent 5k or 10k, but the money I set aside for giving and helping people, I've already spent it on some people and it has finished, it is safe for me to say that I don't have any money. I also can decide that as much as that money has finished, I am going to touch from my spending money to give to them, depending on how urgent the situation is. However, I can also say I don't have money. That is a financial boundary. The second type of boundary is an emotional or mental boundary, and the easiest explanation I can think of is if you hate being shouted on. You can actually communicate to people that I will not appreciate you shouting on me. If you want to talk to me about anything, we're going to talk calmly. And if you do not know how to talk calmly, you are either going to learn how to talk calmly or I'm not having it. That's a mental or emotional boundary. There is also the spiritual boundary. Spiritual boundaries look like, this is my faith. These are my spiritual values. Whatever it is that is going to come and stand between me and my spiritual beliefs are not entering my space in the first place. That's a boundary. Physical boundaries would look like you being someone who is not a physical touch person, and so by your gestures you can communicate that you don't want someone putting their hands over your shoulder or rubbing on your head or trying to hold your hands or anything like that. You could even be a physical touch person, but this person is not someone you are used to. And so until you get used to them, it is just weird for them to be touching you. A physical boundary could also look like you deciding that you want to take 3 hours of the day to spend with yourself. You want me time, and you don't want anybody in your space for the next 3 hours. Sexual boundaries. This one would look like communicating that there are certain sexual activities or certain sexual styles that you will not be participating in. Let's say, for example, swinging, open relationships, orgies. Communicate that I will not be doing any of this. So if you are someone who does this, then you and I is a no-no. It could also look like you deciding to go celibate, either for self-discipline reasons or faith reasons. So you can decide that for faith reasons, I will not be having sex until I am married, and letting this person know that, so that they can also decide if they are willing to stay with you, knowing that there will be no sex on the table until the next 3 years or until you guys are married. And if they can't stay, to the left. Time boundaries. Guys, one of the most precious things on this earth is time. Many things can be gotten back, but how do you recover time? Except by divine intervention, where there is divine speed and acceleration, you can't get time back. There are even certain things that, no matter the divine intervention, it just defies law, so you can't get it back. You can't become 8 years old again just because you feel like you missed out on things when you were 8. You can't go back to being 8. If you are 20 years old right now, you are 20 years old right now. You can no longer be 8 years old. So your time is precious, and whomever you decide to spend your time with should know that your time is precious to you. Their own time is precious to them. So you also have to have a time boundary. If at 9 p.m. every Friday, you decide that you are going to be having family time and work emails start coming in, you can definitely ignore it. You can be like, I am not taking any work emails until Monday because this is now family time. And the last type of boundary I added up is social media and news boundaries. You can agree with me that the number of negative news you can hear on a daily can keep you in a very hopeless situation. And then the news coming in from the world, from different parts of the country, just makes you feel hopeless and tired and wondering when things will end. Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. Whatever is true, whatever is pure, whatever is holy, whatever is of good report, if there's any virtue or any praise, think on these things. So we are supposed to carry a mindset that is positive, that is joyful, that is filled with gratitude. But how do you do that when you're listening to negative news on a daily basis? So I decided that I will not listen to anything that makes me feel low or makes me feel hopeless. The same thing you can do with your social media as well. There is a block button, mute button, log off button, deactivate account button. So depending on how critical and serious your issue is, you can decide to block, to mute, to unfollow, to log out, or to deactivate your account. But you're doing this because you cannot allow jealousy foster in your heart by looking at certain people's pages. Jealousy is a poison that should not be in your heart in the first place. Comparison, feeling bad about yourself because you feel like you're not doing enough because someone is doing better based on their highlights reel. So you can set boundaries with your social media and the news as well. Now that we're done with knowing the different types of boundaries, what's next? Sit in self-examination and self-awareness. Ask yourself, am I actually a people pleaser? How tight or loose are my boundaries, or do I not even have boundaries at all? How do I feel when I refuse to communicate my boundaries to others? Be honest with yourself. Communicate your boundaries. 3 ways you can do this. The first one is to use your words. The second way is by action. You don't have to say it, you can just show it by your actions, and when they see how serious you are, they will make amends. Third one, use both your actions and your words to communicate your boundaries. Be assertive and be firm when communicating your boundaries. You do not have to be mean, you do not have to be rude. You can be gracious while being assertive and firm. Let them just know that I am serious about this and I am not bulging. The next step is to enforce the boundaries that you have already communicated. Some people would respect your boundaries as soon as you communicate it to them. Then there are some people who will not respect your boundaries. Some people who will take you as a joke because you never had any boundaries, so you have to be joking. Enforce the boundaries with your actions. Make sure that there is a consequence or a repercussion for violating your boundaries. You have a friend that you tell your secrets to, and you start to hear your secrets in the mouth of other people, and you go to communicate with her or him, knowing that maybe they are not aware that you would not like to share these stories with other friends yet, and tell them that whenever I tell you a secret, I am actually telling you because I trust you and I want you to know about it. I'm not telling you because I want X, Y, and Z to know about it as well. So I would like it if you don't tell my secrets to others. And then you keep telling your secrets to others. After that, they just violated your boundaries. And if you keep quiet about it or you continue to be friends with them, they will think that it is a license for them to keep doing the same things that they are doing. Pull out. Pull out of the friendship. Leave them alone. Leave them where you met them. Expect to feel fear and guilt. You are new to this thing. Until this point, you never had boundaries. You never even saw the need to set a boundary, or you were too scared to set a boundary. Now you have to communicate your boundaries. It is a muscle that you are still trying to work, and so it is going to feel strange. So the advice is feel the guilt, but still set your boundaries. You can feel guilty that, oh, I've always been there for them, and now I will not be there for them anymore. How will they survive without me? Guy, you are not God. People will survive without you. If you were dead, they will not die with you. They will survive without you. So feel the guilt, feel the fear, and don't bulge. People pleasing seems like it is selflessness, but it is actually selfishness. You have to get to the root of why you do what you do. You want people to like you. You want to be validated by them. You want something from them. So it's about you. So it is selfishness. But selfishness to your own detriment. You're trying to gain validation from people, but you are also burning out. But you are also not being yourself. But you're depriving people who will love you the way you are from knowing who you really are, because you have to perform for people. I had to ask myself this question too. Love your neighbor. Ask yourself. You love yourself first, and then you can know how to love your neighbor according to the measure at which you love yourself. It means you burn yourself out just to please others. Say no. No is a complete sentence. We've heard about it. It's a popular saying, and it is the truth. Say no without having to over-explain yourself or to give excuses. And that's something I struggle with and I'm learning so far. Sometimes I don't know how to just say no without trying to explain to people why I'm saying no. You might be inviting me to do something, and the honest reason why I don't want to do it is because I don't feel like it. That's it. There's no deep story to it. I just don't feel like it. You just feel guilty for saying that to someone. It's like I have to have a legitimate reason. So you have to start looking for excuses or trying to over-explain yourself so that they can understand, so they can feel good about yourself. No, it's actually a complete sentence. However, I am saying this within context. It's not every relationship that you have that no is a complete sentence. So let's say you have a partner who is having a promotional party in the evening, and that same day you'll be having a work spillage, and so you will not be able to attend. And you say no to him or her because of that and you did not give a reason. I'm sorry, but you will not have a relationship to come back to. It's like dating a person and you guys talk every evening before you go to bed. And this particular day, you are too tired that you can't talk. You decide that you're going to tell them, I'm not going to call you today. Okay, good night. Just say goodbye to your relationship. Say yes. Say yes to things that energize you. Say yes to activities that you love to do. Say yes to the company that makes you happy. Next one is to expect some people to throw tantrums. This is new to them. The girl or the guy who has always been on their beck and call, the one who is a yes man, suddenly isn't a yes man, suddenly has boundaries. They will be insulted by your boundaries. How dare you have boundaries? Your new boundary does not benefit them. So they are going to be throwing tantrums and they are going to be trying to push at your boundaries to see if you will bulge. Do not bulge. Feel the guilt, feel the fear, feel the discomfort, but do not bulge. Next one is to expect a loss of friendships and opportunities. Some relationships finally evolve and become better after they finish pushing at your boundaries and you did not bulge. They just make adjustments and continue the friendship or relationship with you. Whereas there are some people who are not going to be comfortable with these new boundaries, and that is not something within your control. It is within their control to agree to be in a relationship with you despite the fact that you have a boundary or to walk away. So expect people to live your life. Then expect to lose opportunities. Let's say, for example, you're a model and there is a campaign, and in this campaign you are supposed to stand naked and take some shoots and some videos. And because of your spiritual boundaries and your value system in general, you decide that that is not something that you can do because it doesn't work for you. However, you are going to be paid in billions for doing that contract. Best believe you are going to miss the opportunity because of your spiritual boundaries, and that is fine. Just expect to lose things. A lack of boundary invites disrespect, and where there's a boundary in place, respect is in place, which brings me to my next point. Expect healthier relationships. People who respect your boundaries, people who respect you will stay, and new people will be attracted to this you that has boundaries. These are the people you actually need in life. Lose to gain. Next point is to give yourself grace when you fall. Like I said, this is a muscle, this muscle that you are now working on. It is something you are not used to. It is something that sometimes you forget and you go back to your default setting. So give yourself grace when you fall, when you violate a boundary that you should not have. The point is not that you fell, the point is that you got up and you started moving again. Pick yourself up and keep on putting in the work until you finally become good at setting boundaries. Apply everything that you now know. It's one thing to gain knowledge, it's another thing to apply it. And if you don't apply the knowledge, whatever it is that you know is nothing, is wasted. So now you know that you need boundaries to have a healthy relationship with yourself, with your time, with food, with anything whatsoever. You know this now. You can't just know it. You actually have to do it. For it to become something that is part and parcel of your life, you have to implement what you now know. Last but definitely not the least, pray. The very hairs on our head are numbered, not counted. Numbered. Why is God so interested in what strand of my hair pulls out and what number it is? If God is interested in a single strand of my hair that He numbered them, then I don't think there is anything off limits for you to pray about. He has left with us the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is in you, and He is a helper, and He is a standby. He shines light on things that you would not know on your own. That same Holy Spirit is an empowerment that rested upon the apostles, and they began to preach in power. That same Holy Spirit can teach you how to set healthier boundaries. Alright, in summary, I would say boundaries are important, and because boundaries are important, you should have boundaries. But it first starts with you examining yourself, being self-aware about where you have boundaries and where you do not have boundaries. If your boundaries are too loose or if they are too tight, if it's healthy or if it's unhealthy, what you can take and what you cannot take. And then moving further to decide that you want boundaries in so and so and so areas. And then enforcing those boundaries. You can enforce boundaries with your actions, you can enforce it with your words. Verbal and non-verbal communications are important in this process. And also expecting the losses and the gains that you get from this. And then also expecting that you may fall sometimes, you may fail in setting your boundaries, and then giving yourself grace to get up and keep setting these boundaries, because if this is your first time having a boundary, it is a muscle that you're still working on. And at some point, you get better, you get good at this. And that is the sum of what self care is when it relates to setting boundaries. Until next time, I love you guys. Stay golden. Bye.